A man walks into the principal's office of Larkspur Creek Elementary with red clay still on his boots. He asks one question. The man behind the desk does not answer the question. He answers something else entirely. Farmers walk in here thinking their opinion matters. Your boy made a little science project. That does not make him special. Children like him, from places like yours, they do not end up celebrated. They end up corrected. Take him home, Mr. Watkins. We are done here. Jerome Watkins does not raise his voice. His hands stay at his sides. He looks at the man behind the desk for 3 full seconds. Then he leaves. He does not know yet that in less than 48 hours something will land on that school's front lawn that will unravel everything Howard Briggs has spent 4 years building. Stay with me, because this one is going to make your jaw drop before it makes your chest feel full again. 5:15 in the morning. The alarm on Jerome Watkins's phone buzzes against the nightstand. He silences it before the second pulse. Old habit from years of not wanting to wake Loretta. Loretta has been gone 4 years now. Lung cancer. She was a community nurse before that, the kind who did home visits on her days off because, as she said, sickness does not take weekends. She planted a small kitchen garden along the south side of the house the spring before she got sick. Tomatoes, collard greens, a stubborn row of okra that still comes back every summer without anyone asking it to. Jerome goes to the kitchen. He fills the coffee thermos, screws the cap tight, and walks down the hall to wake his son. DeShawn Watkins is 11 years old. He is small for his grade, the kind of quiet that notices everything before it says anything. He carries a field observation notebook everywhere he goes. Not a sketchbook, not a diary. A wire-bound notebook with graph paper full of measurements, timestamps, and pencil sketches of things most people walk past without looking at. The cover is worn soft from handling. His name is written inside the front in permanent marker, block letters, the way his mother taught him to label things so they come back to you. Every morning, before he gets in the truck, DeShawn tucks a small device into his jacket pocket. He built it himself from plumbing parts and mesh filter material he found in the barn. About the size of a TV remote. He uses it to filter his drinking water at school. Jerome noticed it 3 weeks ago and asked what it was for. DeShawn said, "The water at school tastes like metal, Dad. I tested it. The iron count is higher than it should be. So I fixed it." Jerome looked at the device, looked at his son, nodded once, got in the truck. That is the kind of kid DeShawn Watkins is. The morning ride to Larkspur Creek Elementary takes 14 minutes on the county road. DeShawn sits in the passenger seat of Jerome's pickup, the one with the cracked side mirror and mud on the running boards. His sneakers dangle about 2 inches off the floor mat, so he kicks them in a soft, steady rhythm against the underside of the seat. It has been the soundtrack of their mornings since DeShawn was 7. Jerome hands him half a biscuit wrapped in a paper towel. Neither of them talks much. They never needed to. Larkspur is a town of about 7,400 people in Harwell County in the state of Harwell. There is 1 consolidated elementary school, 1 middle school, 1 high school, a grain cooperative, 2 fuel stations, a Dollar General, and a post office that closes at noon on Fridays. The textile factory on the east side of town closed in 2018. What stayed behind was the land, the people who work it, and a school district with a discipline record that nobody had looked at closely enough. Not yet. Black families make up 36% of Larkspur's population and 43% of elementary school enrollment. They account for 71% of all disciplinary actions recorded over the past 4 years. Nobody had published that number. Not yet. Larkspur Creek Elementary sits at the end of a 2-lane road with soybean fields on one side and a bus depot on the other. Inside the front entrance, crayon drawings are taped to the windows. Houses with chimneys, sons with faces, families holding hands, stick figures of different heights. The first thing past the front desk is the main office. Behind the front counter, a woman sits with a small blue ledger open in front of her. She signs her name into it before she does anything else in the morning. She signs it when she processes paperwork. She signs it when she authorizes building access for maintenance crews. Her name is Sheila Voss. She is the assistant principal at Larkspur Creek Elementary. She has worked under Howard Briggs for 6 years. Jerome has seen her at the front counter before. He never thought much about the blue ledger. He will think about it later. Wednesday, 3rd week of March. DeShawn is in 4th period Science and Social Studies. The classroom belongs to Sandra Okafor, 23 5th graders at their desks. DeShawn sits in the 2nd row near the window. The school science fair display board went up that morning in the main hallway. 6 student projects selected by the faculty committee. The criteria, per the school handbook: academic merit, innovation, and alignment with grade level standards. DeShawn's water purification project is not on the board. It won 2nd place at the Regional Invitational Science Competition the previous fall. The judges' written comments called it methodologically rigorous in a way we rarely encounter below high school level. The project is sitting in a cardboard box in his bedroom closet. When Ms. Okafor mentions the display board during class, DeShawn raises his hand. He is still seated. His voice is level. He asks why his project was not selected for the display when the posted criteria include innovation, and the regional judges had specifically cited that word. Okafor tells him the selections are final. DeShawn keeps his hand up. He asks, still seated, still calm, whether he could see the written criteria used by the selection committee. He says he is not arguing the outcome. He just wants to understand the process. He is 11 years old. He does not know when to stop asking a reasonable question. That is not a flaw. That is the whole point of science. Okafor writes up a behavioral referral within 45 minutes. The language in the referral form. Student challenged teacher authority and created a disruptive classroom environment. 2 of his classmates will later say DeShawn never raised his voice. He raised his hand. A hall monitor walks DeShawn to the principal's office. They pass the doorway where Okafor is standing. She turns her face toward the board. Her lips move, just barely, just once. DeShawn looks up at the monitor. Did I do something wrong? The monitor does not answer. Somewhere behind them, another student mentions to a friend that the camera in the east hallway has been flickering all year. Okay. Pause here for 1 second, because what I am about to tell you is not a glitch. It is not a technical issue. It is a choice, and it shows up on paper. The district's CCTV maintenance log for Larkspur Creek Elementary records the following entry for that Wednesday afternoon. East hallway camera. Status: offline. Time offline: 1:47 p.m. Time restored: 2:01 p.m. Total duration, 14 minutes. Override source, user account S. Voss. Terminal location, Front Administrative Office. Sheila Voss. Logged in from her workstation at the front counter. The same desk where she keeps the blue ledger. She disabled that camera at 1:47 p.m. Sandra Okafor did not submit the behavioral referral until 2:15 p.m. The camera was disabled 14 minutes before the referral was even filed. And it was disabled 28 minutes before anyone put a signature on a document. So the question was never, what did DeShawn Watkins do in that hallway? The question was, what were they doing in that hallway that they did not want recorded? That answer is coming. Hold on. The following day, Thursday, Principal Howard Briggs schedules a formal disciplinary hearing for Friday afternoon. 36 hours from the original incident to the hearing. Harwell County Consolidated School District Policy 4.12 requires 5 full business days of written notice to a parent or legal guardian before any expulsion hearing. Jerome Watkins receives a voicemail at 4:58 p.m. on Thursday. One sentence. There is a behavioral matter involving your son. Please contact the school at your earliest convenience. No mention of a hearing. No mention of expulsion. No written notice delivered to the house. The hearing is already scheduled for the next afternoon. Jerome calls back immediately. Sheila Voss answers. Ms. Voss, I need to speak with Principal Briggs about whatever is going on with DeShawn. Voss says Principal Briggs is in meetings for the remainder of the day. She says the school will be in touch. She says these matters are handled through proper channels. Her voice has the texture of a recorded message, smooth, even, carrying no information. Jerome asks when he can expect a call back. Voss says someone will follow up by end of business Friday. The hearing is Friday at 3 p.m. Jerome does not know this yet. Friday, 3 p.m. Second floor conference room, Larkspur Creek Elementary. 5 adults at the table. Howard Briggs at the head. Sheila Voss to his left, the blue ledger closed, her hands flat on the table, her eyes on the papers in front of her and not on the child. 2 other administrators, Sandra Okafor in the corner chair, not looking at anyone. DeShawn Watkins sits in a plastic chair on the other side of the table. His feet do not touch the floor. He is the only person in that room who has not chosen to be there. At one point he says, "I only asked a question." No one writes it down. The hearing lasts 19 minutes. Briggs signs the expulsion order at 3:26 p.m. Voss slides a manila envelope across the table to DeShawn. She does not look at him while she does it. She has not looked at him once during the entire 19 minutes. Inside the envelope, 1 sheet of paper. Pursuant to Harwell County Consolidated School District Policy 4.12, the student is hereby expelled for conduct constituting persistent disruption and willful defiance of school authority. No description of the specific incident. No witness statements. No appeal instructions. At 4:40 p.m., Jerome's phone rings. A receptionist tells him that DeShawn was involved in a disciplinary matter and would not be returning to class for the foreseeable future. She does not use the word expelled. She says, removed from the learning environment. Jerome asks to speak with Briggs. She says he is unavailable for the remainder of the day. Jerome hangs up. He turns off the tractor he had been running. He drives to the school. The building is locked. The parking lot is empty except for a maintenance van. Through the glass front doors, he can see a custodian pushing a mop across the lobby floor. The custodian looks up, sees Jerome, looks back down, keeps pushing the mop. Jerome stands at that glass door for 7 minutes. Then he drives home. DeShawn is at the kitchen table when Jerome walks in. He has his field notebook open to a blank page and a pencil in his hand, but he is not writing anything. "Dad," he says, "am I in trouble?" Jerome pulls out the chair across from him and sits down. "No, you're not in trouble." He puts DeShawn to bed at 8:30. He sits at the kitchen table for a long time after that, with his phone on the table in front of him, and no document, no letter, no piece of paper telling him officially that his son no longer has a school to go to. He decides that tomorrow morning he will load DeShawn into the truck and drive to that school, and walk through the front door and demand a face-to-face answer from the man whose name is on the office door. If they want his son out, they will have to say it out loud in front of him, not into a voicemail. He does not know that in less than 14 hours, something is going to land on that school's front lawn that changes everything. Walter Grimes lives a quarter-mile down the road from the Watkins farm. He is 71 years old, a retired shop teacher who taught at the middle school for 26 years before his knees gave out. He has a workshop behind his house full of hand tools he keeps oiled and sorted on pegboard, the way most people keep photographs. He and Jerome have been neighbors for 16 years. The morning after DeShawn's expulsion, before Jerome has had his second cup of coffee, Walter's truck pulls into the gravel drive. He comes around to the back of the house without knocking, the way neighbors do when they have been neighbors long enough. He sees Jerome standing at the edge of the back porch, coffee in hand, looking out at the cotton field. Walter leans against the porch railing. He is quiet for a moment. Then he says, "You remember that old pump I had out by the south fence? The one everybody said was too corroded to fix?" Jerome says he remembers it. "I pulled it apart myself, every single piece. Turned out it was fine. Just needed someone to not give up on it before they understood what was actually wrong." He does not say anything else about it. He helps Jerome check the irrigation lines for 2 hours, and then he goes home. Jerome does not understand yet why Walter brought up the pump. He will understand later. Saturday morning, 6:49 a.m. Jerome loads DeShawn into the truck. Same route, same biscuit in a paper towel. 2 minutes from the school, DeShawn asks, "Are they going to let me back in?" Jerome keeps his eyes on the road. "I'm going to find out." They pull into the drop-off lane at 7:31. DeShawn gets out, slides his backpack over both shoulders. Jerome watches him join the cluster of fifth graders forming on the playground before the first bell. Same height, same backpack, same quiet. Just another kid standing in line. Jerome gets out of the truck and walks toward the front office entrance. He gets about halfway across the parking lot when he hears it. A low vibration from the south. Not a crop duster. The pitch is wrong. Too deep, too steady. Teachers on crosswalk duty shade their eyes and look south toward the tree line. The vibration becomes a thrum. Then, a roar. 300 backpacks hit the pavement. A white and blue helicopter clears the southern tree line, banks in a wide arc, and settles onto the school's front lawn in a wash of rotor wind that bends the chain-link fence flags flat and raises a circle of dust across the grass. The same grass where the fifth graders play kickball at recess. The door opens. A woman steps down. Navy blazer, low heels, dark leather portfolio under one arm. She is 61 years old, and she moves like someone who does not waste movement. An aide walks behind her. The aide says a name to a teacher nearby. DeShawn Watkins, 5th grade. The teacher points toward the playground line. Dr. Vivian Rousseau crosses the lawn. Her heels sink slightly into the turf. She reaches the cluster of 5th graders and finds DeShawn near the middle of the group, mouth slightly open, staring at the helicopter the way a kid stares at something he cannot yet categorize. She kneels in front of him, brings herself to his eye level. "Is your name DeShawn?" He nods. She opens the portfolio. His name is printed in clean type across the top of the first page. "DeShawn, my name is Dr. Vivian Rousseau. I am the director of the Rousseau Foundation National Young Innovator Fellowship. You submitted a project to our open science competition. Out of 3,800 entries from across the country, yours was selected as one of 6 finalists. And then the full panel reviewed all 6. She pauses. Your project was awarded the top designation. That means you receive the full fellowship, $240,000. From 6th grade through the end of your undergraduate education at any accredited institution you choose, plus 2 years of mentorship with a licensed professional engineer. DeShawn takes the portfolio with both hands. It is almost too wide for his grip. He stares at the page. He sees the number. He sees his name. He looks out across the parking lot, searching. When he finds Jerome already crossing the lawn toward him, he smiles. One of his classmates whispers behind him, "Dude, is that for you?" Then the front office doors open. Howard Briggs comes out at a half jog, tie slightly loose, face tight. He crosses the lawn. He reaches Dr. Rousseau. He positions himself between her and DeShawn, which means he is now standing in front of a child who is holding a fellowship letter, in front of 300 students, in front of every teacher and aide and parent still in the drop-off lane. Briggs looks at Dr. Rousseau. His voice is controlled. "I need to inform you. This student was removed from enrollment at this school yesterday. He is not currently a registered student here." The playground goes silent. Not gradually, all at once. DeShawn's smile disappears. He looks down at the portfolio in his hands. He looks up at Briggs. He looks out at his father, who has stopped walking and is standing about 20 feet away. DeShawn does not fully understand what is happening. He holds the portfolio tighter. Dr. Rousseau stands. She is taller than Briggs. When she speaks, she does not raise her voice. She does not need to. "You just said that, in front of him, in front of all of them." Briggs opens his mouth. She does not let him get there. "My foundation has been selecting this child's application for 8 months. He is 11 years old. And you crossed this lawn to announce his expulsion in front of his entire school at the same moment I was handing him a national recognition. I will be contacting your school board, your district superintendent, and the Harwell State Department of Education before noon today, and I will be asking them to explain in writing how this happened." Briggs says 4 words. The procedures were followed. Dr. Rousseau does not blink. Jerome reaches DeShawn. The boy takes his father's hand with one hand. He does not let go of the portfolio with the other. Jerome looks at Briggs. He does not speak. Then he looks at Dr. Rousseau. "Thank you," he says. She looks at him directly. "Hold on to that folder, and don't stop." Briggs turns to Jerome. His voice is flatter now. He holds out a manila envelope. "Mr. Watkins, your son is no longer enrolled here. This is the formal documentation." This is the first time Jerome has seen it. Not at home, not in a letter. Here, on a school lawn, in front of his son and the woman who just called that son one of the 6 most promising young scientific minds in the country. Jerome takes the envelope. He now holds 2 pieces of paper in his jacket pocket. One says his son does not belong here. One says his son belongs in the future. He takes DeShawn's hand. They walk to the truck. Behind them, the helicopter lifts off the lawn at 8:41 a.m. The playground does not move for a long time. Bro, real talk for a second. I have covered a lot of these stories. I have sat with a lot of these moments. And I want you to understand what just happened on that lawn, because it is going to matter later. A woman flew in on a helicopter to honor an 11-year-old kid for the quality of his thinking. And the man who runs that school ran across the lawn to make sure the kid knew he had been discarded. On the same morning, at the same moment, in front of everyone. That is not a coincidence. That is a system telling you exactly what it thinks of certain children. But here is the thing about systems. They leave records. Jerome sits in the truck with the engine off. The parking lot is quiet now. DeShawn is in the passenger seat, the portfolio resting on his knees, creased slightly at the corner where his fingers held it too tight. The expulsion letter is on the dashboard. 2 pieces of paper, 2 feet apart. After a long time, DeShawn says, "Dad, can I keep the letter?" He means the fellowship. Jerome says, yes. He means both of them. Monday morning, Jerome walks back into the school alone. DeShawn is with a neighbor. Jerome asks to speak with Briggs. He is escorted to the principal's office. He places the fellowship portfolio on the desk between them. "Doctor, Rousseau told you who my son is." Briggs does not touch the portfolio. He does not look at it for more than a moment. "Mr. Watkins, the disciplinary action taken against your son followed board-approved policy and was consistent with our established procedures. The decision stands." Jerome drives to the Harwell County School Board office next. Beige brick, tinted windows, a single-story building behind the courthouse. He speaks with an intake clerk. He explains the expulsion, the fellowship, the voicemail that served as his only notice, the hearing his son sat through alone. The clerk listens, types, then slides a pamphlet across the counter. "Your child's educational rights and district procedures." 16 pages. No appeals process for expulsions. Jerome opens it in the parking lot. A helicopter landed on a school lawn. A National Foundation director knelt in front of an 11-year-old and called him extraordinary. And the system's response is a pamphlet. This is the moment Jerome understands. This was never about what DeShawn did in that classroom. It was never about a raised hand or a follow-up question. Something else is running underneath all of this, and he is going to find out what. 10 days after filing a formal public records request under the Harwell State Open Records Act, Jerome receives a spreadsheet. 6 pages. 4 years of disciplinary data from Larkspur Creek Elementary. Every suspension, every expulsion, every transfer to an alternative educational program, broken down by grade level, infraction type, and race. 31 expulsions between the beginning of the school year and the present. 27 of the expelled students are black. 4 are not. Of the 27 black students, 21 were subsequently enrolled at a facility called Crestview Learning Center. Of the 4 non-black students, 0 were referred to Crestview. The infractions tell a second story. Black students expelled for insubordination, defiance, failure to comply with verbal instruction, disruptive presence. Non-black students who committed verifiable, documented offenses, including a vandalism incident caught on camera and a physical altercation with a witness, received in-school suspensions, not expulsions. Suspensions. The youngest expelled student in the data set, 9 years old. Jerome stares at that row in the spreadsheet for a long time. Dana Osei is 36 years old. She covers the county beat for the Prentice Courier and has done so for 7 years. She sees a parent post on a neighborhood social media group about the helicopter landing at Larkspur Creek. She does some reading. She calls Jerome. He is cautious. He has never spoken to a journalist. She asks him one question. "Do you have the spreadsheet?" He does. Dana publishes on a Tuesday. The headline, "Larkspur Creek Discipline Data Shows Stark Racial Disparities in Expulsions." The article quotes the public records numbers, describes the Crestview referral pattern, and includes a statement from the Harwell County School Board. "We are committed to equitable outcomes for all students and are reviewing district practices on an ongoing basis." 3 black families in Larkspur read the article and recognize the pattern. 2 of them call Jerome privately. They describe the same sequence: a quick hearing, no written notice, a Crestview enrollment packet waiting in the school office when they arrived. But they will not go on record. One has a child still enrolled at Larkspur Creek. The other's family farms land adjacent to property owned by Gene Dunmore. The town is too small. The stakes are too real. Dana does not stop at the spreadsheet. She pulls business filings with the Harwell Secretary of State's office. Crestview Learning Center, LLC, registered in year 4 of the current school board term. Registered agent, Gene Dunmore. Dana checks the school board roster. Gene Dunmore does not appear. Raymond Dunmore does. Ray Dunmore, 63 years old, 9-year veteran of the Harwell County School Board, chairman of the Budget and Finance Subcommittee. He approves every district payment over $5,000. Ray Dunmore and Gene Dunmore are brothers. Crestview Learning Center charges $18,500 per enrolled student per year in public tuition transfer funds. Money that flows automatically from the school district to the alternative education provider when an expelled student is placed there. 17 students are currently enrolled at Crestview. All 17 were referred from Larkspur Creek Elementary. All 17 are black. 4 years. 17 students. Approximately $1.85 million transferred from Harwell County School District to a company whose registered agent is the brother of the man who approves those transfers. The pipeline is clean. It is quiet. It has been running long enough to feel routine. And it is built from children. Eunice Tate is 70 years old. She taught 5th grade at Larkspur Creek for 28 years. She retired 2 years ago and has been watching the news with the particular attention of someone who knows exactly what the news is not yet saying. She calls Dana after the first article runs. She has an email. She saved it before she cleared her work accounts on her last day. Dated the fall before DeShawn's expulsion. Sender, Ray Dunmore. Recipient, Howard Briggs. Subject, Q4 planning. The body of the email reads, Q4 target is at least 5 transfers. Crestview is holding spots. Where do we stand on names? Briggs's reply, sent 18 minutes later. Working through the list. Should have names confirmed by end of month. They are discussing children the way a warehouse manager discusses inventory. Quarterly targets. Confirmed names. Holding spots. Eunice Tate signs a sworn affidavit. She knows what signing it means in a town where she taught for nearly 3 decades. She signs it anyway. Calvin Marsh reads Dana's first article on a Wednesday morning in his office in the city of Harwell. He is 51 years old and has spent 20 years handling education discrimination cases across the region. He has seen the pipeline model before, but he has never seen financial filings this clean or a record trail this well preserved. He calls Jerome that afternoon. Mr. Watkins, my name is Calvin Marsh. I handle civil rights cases in education. I would like to represent your son. There is no charge. Jerome is quiet for a moment. I'm not looking for charity. I know, Marsh says. I'm looking for this case. There's a difference. But before the case can go anywhere, the pressure starts. The law firm retained by Howard Briggs sends a certified letter to the Prentice Courier. It alleges defamation and demands an immediate retraction of Dana's article and a halt to all further related reporting. Dana's second article, the one connecting the Dunmore brothers and the Crestview financials, is placed on hold by the Courier's publisher pending legal review. 3 days later, a caller to a local AM radio program mentions that Jerome Watkins had a property boundary dispute with a neighboring landowner back in the spring of 2019. The host mentions it on air as a kind of rhetorical question. If a man cannot manage his own business affairs, why should the community take his word about how the school board conducts its business? What the caller does not mention, the dispute was initiated by an error in the county surveyor's reassessment. Jerome challenged it. The matter was resolved in his favor and closed that same summer. Paid, done, legally settled. Jerome pulls the resolution paperwork from his files in about 4 minutes. Dana verifies it with the county clerk's office the same afternoon. The record is clean. But in a town of 7,400 people, corrections travel slowly. An acquaintance who used to wave from his truck has stopped waving. Then, starting the night of the second week of all this, the phone at the Watkins house rings after midnight. No voice, just quiet on the line. 3 seconds, 4 seconds, a click. It happens 4 nights in a row. On the second night, DeShawn wakes up and walks to the kitchen. He finds Jerome standing by the phone in the dark. "Who was that?" DeShawn asks. "Nobody. Wrong number. Go back to sleep." DeShawn goes back to his room. Jerome stands in the kitchen a while longer. He does not sleep much after that. DeShawn has started keeping his old stuffed bear on his pillow again, the one he had put in the closet 2 years ago. He has stopped filling pages in his field notebook. He has stopped checking on the okra plants in his mother's garden. One evening, sitting on the couch with his knees pulled up, he looks at his father and asks the question that will live in Jerome's chest for years. "Dad, what did I do wrong?" Jerome sits beside him. He puts his arm around his son's shoulders and holds him. He does not have an answer that an 11-year-old would be able to carry. A few days after that, quieter, almost to himself, DeShawn says, "When I was holding the letter and he came over, I didn't know if I was supposed to give it back." An 11-year-old on a school lawn, holding proof that he is exceptional and genuinely uncertain whether he is allowed to keep it. 2:19 in the morning. Jerome is sitting in the rocking chair on the back porch. Loretta's garden is 3 feet from the bottom step. The okra is coming up anyway, the way it always does. The night smells like warm soil and something sharper underneath. He sits there and lets a thought form that he has been keeping at the edge of his mind for 2 weeks. Maybe he should let this go. He runs through it. He could homeschool DeShawn for the rest of the year, find a school in the city. It is 1 hour and 40 minutes each way. Or he could do what the system is designed to make people do. Accept the expulsion. Accept the pamphlet. Let Howard Briggs keep his office and Ray Dunmore keep his seat. And the transfers keep happening. And DeShawn's name become one more row in a spreadsheet that no one reads. He thinks about Loretta. She would have been in that school office on day 1. She had a way of making a room go still without raising her voice. She would have known exactly what to say. She would have known how to hold DeShawn through this without the boy feeling like the world had made a decision about him before he had a chance to prove it wrong. Jerome does not have her words. He has her garden. He goes inside. The hallway is dark. DeShawn's door is cracked open. Jerome stands there and watches his son breathe. Sees the stuffed bear tucked under his chin. The field notebook has fallen half off the mattress and is lying on the floor near the bed frame. Jerome picks it up. He carries it to the kitchen table. He opens it under the light. The back pages are different from the front. No measurements, no time stamps. Pencil sketches. Systems drawn in cross-section. Pipes running under agricultural land with arrows showing water moving through chambers. A detailed diagram of a filtration housing with labeled components, the labels spelled mostly right, the engineering instinct not wrong at all. On the last page, a note in a child's handwriting, the letters slightly uneven, one of them backwards. For Mom's garden, and all the ones nobody planted yet. Jerome sits at the table with the notebook open. The overhead light hums. The thermos from yesterday morning is still on the counter, cold. He does not cry. He closes the notebook. He sets it on the table. He sits for a long time. Then he picks up his phone and dials Calvin Marsh's number and leaves a message at 2:47 in the morning. "This is Jerome Watkins. I've made my decision. Whatever you need from me to move forward, I'm ready. I'll be on your sidewalk before you unlock the door." Walter Grimes is the first person to arrive at the community meeting the following Tuesday night. The meeting is organized by a parent from Larkspur Creek's parent-teacher group, who reserves the basement of the Second Baptist Church on Elm Street, sets up folding chairs, and sends a group message telling people to come if they are paying attention to what is happening at the school. Jerome expects maybe a dozen people. 43 show up. Parents, 3 teachers who ask not to be named. Neighbors without children at Larkspur Creek who read Dana's article and felt something shift in their understanding of how the town works. The folding chairs fill up. People stand along the walls. Jerome stands at the front. He is not a speech person. He knows this about himself. He holds up DeShawn's field notebook. Wire-bound, graph paper, cover worn soft, pencil notations visible through the outside. My son built a water filtration device in our barn from parts he found in a pile of irrigation equipment. He tested it for 2 years. He recorded everything. A national foundation read his results and said it was the most scientifically honest work in their entire competition. He pauses. A woman flew in to hand him a letter that said all of that. And the man who runs that school ran across the lawn to take it away from him before he'd had it in his hands for 30 seconds. He looks around the room. I need help showing them what actually paying attention to a child looks like. The room does not applaud. It does something that matters more. It stays. Walter Grimes is in the second row. He does not say anything during the meeting. After it ends, and people are folding up chairs, he walks over to Jerome and says, "My boy would have wanted to see this." Jerome nods. He does not ask which boy. He understands. Now, here is where it breaks open. Calvin Marsh files an emergency motion in Harwell County Civil Court on a Monday morning. The filing is 28 pages. 2 primary claims. Due process violations. No written notice delivered to the parent. A hearing convened 36 hours after the incident. Against a 5-business-day required notice period. A minor compelled to face 5 school administrators without a guardian present. Equal protection violations. A 4-year pattern of racially disparate discipline that cannot be explained by differences in student conduct. Attached to the filing, the public records spreadsheet, the CCTV maintenance log with the VOS login timestamp, Eunice Tate's sworn affidavit, DeShawn's fellowship documentation, and a subpoena for the complete email records of Howard Briggs's school district account, including archived and deleted items, and all Crestview Learning Center referral documentation for the past 4 years. The same day, Dr. Vivian Rousseau issues a second public statement. She names Larkspur Creek Elementary directly. She describes the scene on the lawn. She calls on the Harwell State Department of Education to open an independent investigation. The statement is picked up by press in 2 neighboring counties. Within 1 week, 3 more families submit sworn declarations to Marsh's office. Each one describes the same sequence: a behavioral referral with vague language, a fast hearing, no written notice, a Crestview enrollment packet already prepared in the school office before the hearing had concluded. Eunice Tate agrees to testify under her full legal name, not off the record, under oath. Dana publishes her second article on a Thursday. With the court filing now part of the public record, the cease and desist letter has no teeth. The headline: The Crestview Pipeline: How Public Education Dollars Followed Black Children Out of Larkspur Creek Elementary. The article names Ray Dunmore and Jean Dunmore. It traces the money. Expulsion to referral to enrollment to payment. 17 times in 4 years. $1.85 million. The subpoena produces results 8 days after filing. Howard Briggs's district email account, including deleted items, is turned over to Calvin Marsh's office per the court's order. A forensic IT specialist runs the deleted items recovery. It takes less than 3 hours. What he finds is a thread of 3 emails dated the morning after DeShawn raised his hand in class. 1 day before the hearing, 2 days before the helicopter. Briggs did not know about the helicopter. He thought he had time. Email 1, Briggs to Dunmore, sent at 9:22 a.m. Watkins' kid needs to move this quarter. He's been getting regional attention on his science stuff. Acts like that makes him something. We don't need these farm kids thinking they're the exception to the rule. I'll start the paperwork. You handle Crestview. Email 2, Dunmore to Briggs, sent at 9:38 a.m. Q4 target is still 5. Watkins makes 4. Need 1 more before the month ends. Email 3, Briggs to Okafor, sent at 10:04 a.m. Write up a behavioral referral on DeShawn Watkins. Use language about defiance and challenging authority. Keep the write-up clean and simple. I'll run the hearing. 3 emails, 42 minutes. The entire architecture of what happened to DeShawn Watkins is visible in those 3 emails. Briggs identified the target. Briggs specified the language. Briggs instructed the teacher. Briggs ran the hearing. And he did all of it before DeShawn had done a single thing wrong. Not because of a raised hand. Not because of a follow-up question. Because a black kid from a farm family was getting attention, and someone needed to correct that. And here is what makes this a case that people will be studying for years. Briggs wrote, "Farm kids thinking they're the exception to the rule," on a Wednesday morning. 2 days later, on a school lawn, a national foundation confirmed that DeShawn Watkins is exactly the exception. That he has been the exception all along. The data proved it, the judges confirmed it, and Dr. Rousseau flew in on a helicopter to say it out loud. Howard Briggs expelled the evidence of his own error, and then he ran across a lawn and stood in front of it. The hearing is set for a Monday morning, Harwell County Civil Court. The courtroom has high ceilings, dark wood paneling, and fluorescent lights that give everything a slightly cool cast. Judge Lorraine Dupree presiding. She is 56, appointed 11 years ago, known among local attorneys for reading every word of a filing and moving proceedings along with surgical efficiency. The gallery is full. Parents from the church meeting. Dana Osei, with a notebook open on her knee. Eunice Tate in the 3rd row, her hands folded in her lap, composed in the way of someone who has made a decision and is at peace with it. And in the back row, near the exit door, Dr. Vivian Rousseau. No aide, no cameras. She has flown in a second time. She does not intend to speak. She intends to watch. Walter Grimes is in the 2nd row from the back on the aisle. He is wearing a collared shirt. He got here early. Calvin Marsh presents the case in sequence. The expulsion letter with its vague language, the date and time of the voicemail Jerome received, compared against the date and time the hearing was already scheduled. The sign-in sheet from the hearing room. DeShawn's signature at the top, the letters large and careful, the handwriting of a child who was taught to write his name clearly. Jerome Watkins's name, absent. He projects the 4-year spreadsheet. 27 black students expelled. 0 non-black students referred to Crestview. He projects the Crestview LLC filing. Jean Dunmore, registered agent. Ray Dunmore, school board finance chair. Brothers. He displays the CCTV maintenance log. Camera disabled at 1:47 p.m. Account S. Voss. Duration 14 minutes. He reads the timestamp on Okafor's referral form. 2:15 p.m. He lets the math sit in the room for a moment. He reads Eunice Tate's affidavit. Quarterly targets. Names confirmed. Patterns she watched develop over her final years at the school before she retired. Then he reads the emails. He reads them slowly. He reads the timestamp on each one. He reads the sender line on each one. He reads, "Farm kids thinking they're the exception to the rule," and the courtroom is quiet. He reads, "Write up a behavioral referral on DeShawn Watkins. Use language about defiance and challenging authority." And the silence deepens. He places the printed emails on the evidence table and then describes, in 2 sentences, what happened on that school lawn. A foundation director kneeling in front of a child. A principal crossing a field to announce in front of that child's entire school that the child had been expelled. Briggs's attorney objects to the admission of the recovered emails on technical grounds. Overruled. He argues the hearing procedure was consistent with board policy. Marsh responds with the statutory notice requirement. 5 business days. The hearing was held in 36 hours. Written notice was never delivered. The child sat alone, and the complaint was authored not by the reporting teacher, but by the principal himself in a 9:22 a.m. email, 14 hours before the referral form was submitted. Briggs's attorney declines to put his client on the stand. For the record, Briggs's attorney states, "Principal Briggs stands by the disciplinary actions taken under his leadership as consistent with board-approved policy and not motivated by any discriminatory intent." 1 sentence. The room absorbs it. It does not land. Calvin Marsh calls Sheila Voss to the stand. She walks to the witness chair. She places her hands flat on the table in front of her. Marsh places the CCTV maintenance log in front of her. He points to the entry for that Wednesday afternoon. He asks her to identify the account listed under Override Source. She looks at the log. She looks at Marsh. She looks at her hands. 8 seconds of silence. The court reporter is typing. Marsh asks the question again. "Ms. Voss, is that your account login?" She says, "Yes." He asks whether she disabled that camera. She says, "I was asked to." He asks by whom. She does not answer immediately. Then she says, "Principal Briggs." Marsh moves on. He calls Sandra Okafor to the stand. She walks forward. She sits. She places her hands flat, the same way Voss did, the posture of someone trying to hold herself steady. Marsh asks, "Ms. Okafor, did you initiate the behavioral referral on DeShawn Watkins on your own judgment?" She looks at her hands. A long silence. "No." "Who directed you to file it?" She looks up, not at Marsh, at the room. "Principal Briggs. He sent me an email that morning. He told me what language to use. I followed the instructions because I was afraid of losing my position." She pauses. Her voice gets thinner, but it holds. But I want to say something. Nobody asked me to say this, and I am saying it anyway. The room is completely still. I knew within the first 5 minutes of that class period that DeShawn had not done anything wrong. He raised his hand. He asked a question that any scientist would ask. He was respectful. He was patient. He was 11 years old, and he was right. And I wrote down words that said the opposite, and I have to live with that. She looks at Jerome for the first time since the proceedings began. I knew he didn't do anything wrong. I just didn't have the courage to say it when it would have actually changed something. The courtroom exhales. Okay, I need you to stay with me for this next part, because I want you to feel the weight of what just happened in that room. Because that sentence is not just about Sandra Okafor. That sentence is about every person who ever watched something wrong happen and stayed quiet because the cost of speaking felt too high. Every person who told themselves it was not their place. Every person who said, "I'll say something next time." There is always someone who knows. There is always a next time. And sometimes next time is too late. Judge Dupree does not deliberate at length. She grants the emergency injunction. DeShawn Watkins is to be reinstated at Larkspur Creek Elementary, effective the following Monday. The Crestview Learning Center financial records are referred to the Harwell State Education Finance Oversight Board for a full compliance audit. From the bench, Judge Dupree adds, "The documentation before this court does not describe isolated errors in judgment. It describes a functioning system with targets and timelines, financial incentives, and deliberate concealment of evidence. This court expects the appropriate state and district offices to treat it accordingly." Jerome is sitting in the front row. He does not stand. He does not make a sound. He closes his eyes for 3 seconds, opens them, looks at Calvin Marsh, nods once. Outside the courtroom, DeShawn is sitting on a wooden bench near the water fountain at the end of the hall. His field notebook is on his lap, closed. His feet do not reach the floor. He is tapping his pencil softly against the notebook cover in that rhythm. The same rhythm as his sneakers against the truck seat on every 14-minute morning ride they have ever taken. Jerome walks out of the courtroom and down the hall. He does not say anything. He picks DeShawn up, one arm behind his back, one under his knees, the way you carry someone when words are not the right size for what you are feeling. DeShawn wraps one arm around his father's neck. In his other hand, he holds the notebook. They walk to the truck. Walter Grimes is in the hallway. He watches them go. He does not say anything. He nods once, slowly, to no one in particular. The following Monday, DeShawn Watkins walks through the front entrance of Larkspur Creek Elementary at 7:44 in the morning. He is carrying his field notebook. The water filtration device is in his jacket pocket, same as always. The stuffed bear stayed home, back on the shelf where he had moved it when he was 9. He does not need it in his jacket pocket anymore. On the front lawn, there is still a faint impression in the grass where the helicopter landed. The blades of grass pressed flat are slowly coming back up, but you can still see the shape of where it touched down, if you know to look for it. DeShawn looks at it for a moment. Then he walks through the door, not past a glass panel, through it. Howard Briggs is placed on administrative leave the same week. Within 12 days, the Harwell County School Board votes unanimously to terminate his contract. Ray Dunmore submits a one-line resignation letter to the county clerk's office the following Friday. No statement, no press conference, one line. Jean Dunmore retains an attorney. The Harwell State Education Finance Oversight Board opens a formal audit of Crestview Learning Center and its public funding arrangements. The process is ongoing. Sheila Voss is subject to an internal district investigation. The outcome has not yet been determined. But the 8-second silence before she answered Calvin Marsh's question is part of the official court record and is going nowhere. Sandra Okafor remains employed. Whether that continues is a matter under review. What she said in that courtroom without being asked is also part of the record. Both of those things are true at the same time. Dana Osei is working on the third article. Eunice Tate had lunch with Walter Grimes last Thursday at the diner on Main Street. She told Jerome about it. He smiled for the first time in weeks. DeShawn formally accepts the Rousseau Foundation Fellowship in May. At the signing ceremony, Dr. Rousseau asks him what he wants to study. He says he wants to work on water systems, rural water systems specifically, the kind that are affordable, the kind a farming family can maintain themselves, the kind that work even when the infrastructure around them does not. She asks him, why water? He thinks about it for a moment. He reaches into his jacket pocket and takes out the small filtration device he built from plumbing parts and mesh from the barn. The water at school had too much iron in it, he says. So I tested it and fixed it. And I figured other places probably have problems I haven't tested yet. She looks at the device in his hand for a moment. You're right, she says. They do. That night, Jerome is sitting on the back porch. The okra is about knee-high now. The tomatoes are coming in. The smell is the same as it has always been. Warm soil, something green underneath, that faint sharpness that hits different at night. Headlights come down the county road and slow at the gravel drive. Walter Grimes's truck. He pulls part way in and rolls down the window. Jerome lifts his hand. Walter nods. He puts the truck back in gear and drives on. No one says anything. Nothing needs to be said. Here is what I want to leave you with. That helicopter did not save DeShawn Watkins. The helicopter gave the story a spotlight. But what actually protected DeShawn was a man who refused to accept a voicemail as an answer. A retired teacher who kept an email and waited for someone to call. A journalist who asked the right question and kept asking it. A lawyer who recognized what he was looking at. And a woman in a courtroom who finally said the true thing out loud, even though she had been given every reason not to. Systems like the one at Larkspur Creek Elementary do not survive in the light. They survive because the people inside them stay quiet, and the people outside them accept the pamphlet and go home. Jerome Watkins did not go home. And his son is going to build water systems for rural communities that the people who expelled him will never be able to take credit for. If this story reminds you that one person with a spreadsheet and a field notebook and the refusal to stop asking questions can hold an entire system to account, share it with someone who needs to hear that right now. Subscribe if you haven't. Drop a comment. Tell me, if you were in Jerome's position at 2 in the morning, staring at that notebook, do you get back up? I'll be reading every single one. Until next time.